everyone. Welcome to Credential Up Houston in our continuing discussion on Jobs Now Houston. My name is Margaret Ford Fisher. Today, we will focus on the real estate industry and the career opportunities that could lead to great success and generational wealth. Joining us in our discussion are Mr. Ed Ryland, who is a successful business owner and commercial real estate advisor, thought leader, community game changer, and entrepreneur. He is the founder, president, chairman, and CEO of Avvo Realty Advisors. He's also an author. His most recent book is entitled The Secrets to Building a Successful Minority-Owned Company. And joining us is Ms. Tiffany Ryland, who is advisor with Arbor Realty and former international trade analyst with Georgia Pacific. My thanks to both of you for joining us. And congratulations to you, Mr. Ryland, on an excellent book. It was a great read and, of course, an excellent resource as well. So thank you so very much for that. And I'm real curious to know what inspired you to write your book?
Yeah, I'll tell you, that's a great question that I'm asked often. And I'll tell you, a couple of things inspired me. One is that I was just sort of laying in the bed one day, and for some reason, secrets was just playing through my mind, right? And then at the same time, I had been asked by other wannabe entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs, Ed, you're in a very, very competitive business, and a business that is tremendously underrepresented by people of color. What have you done, and how have you done it to be successful as long as you have been? And I started thinking about that, and the more I thought about it, I thought about how most of the time minority-owned companies are first-generation business owners, and we have not had the benefit of having the secrets to building a successful company handed down to us. Many of my counterparts, non-minorities, are second and third generation business owners. So they've had some secrets and nuggets of how to be successful, how to navigate through challenges handed down to them. And when I started doing further investigation and found out that, the average revenue of an African-American entrepreneur is about $58,000 a year. For a company, $58,000 a year. The average revenue of a Hispanic is about $167,000 a year. And then the average revenue of an Asian is about $364,000 a year. But when I looked at the average revenue of a non-minority, it was $552,000 a year. And I was astounded. Why is it that the average revenue of an African-American is $58,000, non-minorities at $552,000, almost 10 times. And I kept coming back to, we do not have the secrets of how to build a successful minority-owned company handed down to us or provided to us. And so we struggle. So I spent a year traveling across the country, meeting with other CEOs, and I've asked them one single question. What do you think it takes to build a successful minority-owned company? And I got a fountain of wisdom and knowledge and information. I incorporated that with my thinking and released the book. So that was sort of the inspiration and drive behind the book.
Well, that's so compelling, because in reading your book, I was totally absorbed in all of the good information that you were sharing. And I thought, this could apply across so many other companies as well, because they're great principles that I think are universally applicable, and particularly to the commercial real estate business. And so I presume, Ms. Ryland, that as your father was developing these great ideas and he was traveling across the country, that he shared those thoughts with you as well. You were residing in Georgia at the time. So there were those telephone conversations about that. So what were your impressions as your dad shared with you his idea about how he was going to help to infuse all of those nuggets into other groups of individuals?
Yeah, so I was really excited. Honestly, I've been, of course, following my father since I was a little girl, literally. And so watching his work ethic and watching him just be successful and continue to grow and continue to look for ways to give back, I was extremely excited to know that he was going to put it in a book, bind it, and put it out there for anybody to get. And to your point, not just African Americans, but also, you know, individuals of other races and backgrounds and ethnicities, getting an opportunity to get some of these secrets and understand how to have a successful business. So I was extremely excited for him.
Well, this is very exciting, of course. So I'm wondering, Mr. Ryland, how lucrative are careers in the real estate industry? You made reference to the range there based upon various groups, but just how lucrative, and is there one sector that is more lucrative than the other, like residential, commercial, perhaps being a little bit more lucrative? What are your thoughts about that? What were your findings?
Yeah, so here's what I know for a fact, right? I started my career off in residential. And I was very successful in residential, but I've been much, much more successful in commercial real estate. So if you ask me personally where I would have started originally, it would have been in commercial real estate. However, the real estate industry overall is extremely competitive. We have over 22,000 people with licenses in the Houston geographical region. So if you're going to get into real estate, whether it's residential or commercial, you have to be ready to roll up your sleeve and understand that 10% of the people make most of the money. But in my view, the most lucrative part of real estate is on the commercial real estate side. There are people that are very, very successful in residential, and they have a formula that works for them. And so I think you can be successful in either one. But when you look at the size of the contracts that you're involved in, from residential to commercial real estate typically will have the larger size contracts, which in many cases should drive larger opportunities for higher fees and commissions and sales and that sort of thing. But that does not mean that you can't do very, very, very well and build wealth on the residential side as well. I think it depends on your passion and where your strengths are.
And you made reference to focus as well, which I thought was really very important in your book. You continue to focus on that key word, focus, maintain that focus. So for a lot of businesses that fail, you made reference to, for example, not having those nuggets. But what happens when they spend more money than they're able to save or to invest in their companies?
So this pandemic is a great example of that. The vast majority of companies do not have sufficient funds to last past 2 or 3 weeks. The vast majority are small and particularly minority-owned firms. And so if you look at just right now, between February and April of this year, over 440,000 African-American companies went out of business as a direct result of the pandemic. And it is my belief that it's because we don't have enough cushion or savings to get us through the difficult times. And you can look at other categories as well. You can look at the Hispanic category, they were about 36%. You look at the women, about 25% of those businesses went out. And it's a direct relationship with the amount of savings that we have set aside for difficult times. So you must look at your budget. You must always be mindful of, what type of recurring expenses you have, what are fixed expenses, what can you get rid of in difficult times, what can you pare down, what can you renegotiate. So getting a handle on your financials is absolutely key to short-term and long-term success in this industry.
So what is the frequency of females going into the industry? I know that we have like Martha Turner properties and so forth. I would like for us to focus on that because I think it's really critically important for individuals to know just exactly how females are fitting into the industry as well. Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about entrepreneurship because that's another key component of what you addressed in the book to help prepare more individuals to be ready to succeed and to generate that wealth. So we'll be right back.
think about it all the time, but for many Americans, it's a scary thought. During this crisis, 1 in 12 seniors and 1 in 7 children don't have access to nutritious food. We can all help. Get involved at feedingamerica.org.
Houston Community College is safe, clean, and open for learning. We're sanitizing our classrooms and reducing class sizes so you can feel good when you come back. Register now at hccs.edu/college your way.
Welcome back to Credential Up Houston in our discussion on the real estate industry. We are continuing our discussion with Mr. Ed Ryland and Ms. Tiffany Ryland. And in the last segment, we were talking about females in the industry as well. And I'd like to broach that topic for just a moment before we go into discussion about entrepreneurship. So, Ms. Ryland, what have you found given your experienced advisor, a commercial real estate advisor? Do you find that you are coming into contact with more women who are entering the industry, or whether or not it is still predominantly male?
That is a great question. And I will tell you, the industry is absolutely 100% still predominantly male. However, I'm encouraged because I do see so many young women getting involved in commercial real estate, especially from the residential side, looking to transition into commercial, looking to better understand commercial real estate. And then you have individuals such as myself and the organization Crew, which is highly encouraging women to just, if you don't want to get into it, just come and learn about it. Just see what it's about before you completely say no. So yes, it's still highly underrepresented, but there's a lot of initiatives that are pushing for women to get more involved.
And so, Mr. Ryland, just congratulations to you for getting your daughter involved in the industry. And that took quite a bit of foresight as well. So was it hard to convince her? I know that there are many children and siblings of others in the family who decide, well, I want to create my own identity, as it were. And that's for my dad. That's not for me. So did you have difficulty convincing Tiffany?
I really didn't. And I'll tell you why. I sort of had a hands-off approach. I mean, go do your thing. I mean, I don't care what you do, as long as you do something that's going to be, helpful and meaningful and you enjoy doing it. Then we had a life circumstance, change in our life where I lost my wife and Tiffany decided she wanted to come back home. And so I didn't hire her. She sort of hired herself. So I didn't, I didn't ask her to join the company. She made a decision that, hey, I think I want to come back home. I think I want to, get involved in the company. And that's what she did. And for some reason, when she came on this time, she was just on fire. And she continues to be on fire now to not only learn the business of commercial real estate, but also learn how to run a commercial real estate company. And those are two different paths you have to travel. And she's traveling both of those paths at the same time. So I'm really happy and proud of her. But more importantly, I'm happy that she is inspiring other young women to pursue a path in commercial real estate, because it is tremendously underrepresented by women, and more so women of color.
And of course, it can be quite lucrative as well. So all of that is just really wonderful. And so I really commend you for that. I think it really took a lot of foresight to also be kind of hands-off and let her make her way. And then that really indicates that she's truly interested in it, and she can be a great role model as well. And so we were talking about entrepreneurship as well, and how some of the businesses, as a result of COVID-19, have had to shutter. They've had to close their doors and perhaps won't come back at all because of some of the mistakes perhaps that they made by not having enough money invested. So what other mistakes do you think were perhaps a part of that as well?
So, we should think about a contingency plan for all types of situations. And I got to admit, I did not have a contingency plan for this pandemic. And so I think when we were small businesses, we are so involved in the day-to-day details of running our business that we don't pay a lot of attention to the what ifs sometimes. We're mostly positive people hoping for the best, but not necessarily planning for the worst. So some of the things that I would say is looking at contracts, particularly those contracts that are fixed. The two primary expenses that we have is personnel and overhead for our facilities. And so if we start looking at those contracts for leasing obligations, for sure, we could have renegotiated them differently that will allow us to get out of this lease agreement or to reduce our obligation for that. That's one. Secondly, I will be looking at how do you pivot your marketing strategy when you can't get face-to-face with people. Now you have to look at how am I going to get my business? And so what we've done is really ramped up our social media presence and strategy around that and the types of things we're doing. How do you keep yourself relevant in an environment where you cannot get face-to-face? Those are some things that I would say has caused a large number of small business and to go out of business or not sustain themselves, paying attention to their profit and loss statements and their financial statements, and then being able to pivot, have a contingency plan, and understand what you must do to market yourself in a situation like this.
And so what is the life expectancy of a new company, a new commercial real estate business, typically? You made reference to some of the things that need to be accounted for, but is it like 5 years and you can determine at that particular point whether or not it's going to be a go or no go?
So I think, when you look at a commercial real estate business, it's probably in line with other businesses as well. And that is most businesses fail within the first 5 years. I think commercial real estate may have a higher degree of failure because we're so commission driven, depending on what aspect of commercial real estate you're in. If you don't have recurring income to sustain you while you're building your book of business, then that could be very, very challenging, because if you are a traditional commercial brokerage firm, then you are relying 100% on commission. And it's a very long sales cycle in commercial real estate. It could be 24, 36 months sometimes for a new agent to get up and running and have a book of business that's going to be sustainable for them. So I would say that, the likelihood of being in business or out of business is pretty much in line with traditional new startup business.
We have students and prospective students interested in real estate, and we have a very robust real estate program at the Houston Community College, and it has all of the various components, and students can get certificates and associate degrees, and others can go on for a baccalaureate degree. And so what would you recommend as a starting point for viewers who are interested in enrolling in courses and getting, let's just say, the minimal certifications or qualifications to start a company or to go to work for a company, Mr. Ryland?
Yeah, so I would do a couple things. One, I would research the various careers in real estate. And if you're interested in commercial real estate, there are so many different components that you can get involved in. You can get involved in leasing, you can get involved in appraisal work, consulting work. There's so many components. So research careers in commercial real estate. And then once you do that, try to match up your skill set, your personality, your desires with that particular type of business within the real estate industry. And then after you've done that, I would highly suggest that you begin to seek out a mentor, an advocate that will be available to guide you through the process. That will cut a lot off of your learning curve and help you to ensure your success. Trying to do particularly commercial real estate without a mentor is pretty challenging. And so you need support. If you're going to do that, you need to be able to have a firm or an individual that's invested in your success and willing to assist you as you move through the process.
Very good advice. Well, we're going to take another break. And when we return, we will continue our discussion. And we'd like to hone in on some of the leadership principles as well that you talked about in your book, that our viewers who might be interested in enrolling in real estate programs and working toward generating that long-term wealth, that they can learn how to do that. So we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. So please stay with us.
College is on at HCC. Whether you choose to learn online, on campus, or both, HCC offers a safe, flexible, affordable college experience. Register now at hccs.edu/college your way.
A natural disaster may force you to evacuate, and the coronavirus could impact your emergency plans. So take steps now to help your family and community prepare. Keep a supply kit stocked with cloth face coverings, disinfecting supplies, and hand sanitizers. Check with local officials about what shelter spaces will be open during quarantine efforts. And remember to review the CDC's guidelines with the whole family. Disasters won't wait. Neither should you. Visit ready.gov/plan to make a plan today.
There's no better place to knock out the basics than HCC. Whether you learn online, on campus, or both, HCC is the safe, flexible, affordable option. Register now at hccs.edu/college your way.
Welcome back to Credential Up Houston. We are continuing our discussion on the real estate industry with our guest, Mr. Ed Ryland, President, Chairman, and CEO of Arbor Advisors and author of The Secrets to Building a Successful Minority-Owned Company, and Ms. Tiffany Ryland, Commercial Real Estate Advisor with the Avvo Realty Advisors. Let me ask you a question before we start talking about some of the principles. Tell us about Avvo. Tell us that name and what that signifies, Mr. Violin.
Well, great question again. We have been in business for over 38 years, and we started off as Ryland Enterprise. We've had some other affiliate names that we have started, companies that we've started, right? But over 10 years ago, we decided to rebrand ourselves. And as we were thinking about how we're going to rebrand ourselves, we thought about what is it we want people to know about us? What do we want our clients to know? What are our clients asking us? And we've listed a number of words: integrity, professionalism, attention to details, value. And the word value kept coming up, that our clients want us to add value all the time. We want to make sure that we are thinking about adding value all the time. So we just popped in the word value and did a search on it. And it's a Finnish term came up to call Arvo. And Arvo means value. And so we posted Arvo on the wall for about 6 months, and we kept looking at it. We said, man, that's a story behind Arvo. Arvo means that we consistently look at ways to bring value to our clients. And internally, we consistently look at ways to bring value to each other. So Arvo just stuck, and that's how we got to decide upon the name Arvo, because it reminds us every day to be thinking about how can we add value to our clients, to the community, and to those we come in contact with.
I like that very much, because one of the principles in your book was know your value proposition. Make sure that you have a firm grasp of that. And I thought, well, this is really very good, because that's key. And you made reference also to having a pitch, your elevator pitch. And I just thought, this is really very good. So how would you go about crafting an elevator pitch that would state your value proposition in just a few? What are the essentials that you need to think about? And let's go to Ms. Ryland, because I'm sure that you learned from your dad, and you have the expertise as well from all of the work that you have done. So tell us about that elevator pitch to convey that value proposition.
So I'm going to steal Ed's story. We were in New York, and we were on an elevator, and there was a young lady who got on with us. And I think the chapter in the book is called From the 11th Floor to the Lobby.
Yes.
And we sat on the elevator, and maybe by the time we got to maybe the 5th floor, so Ed started talking to her just out of nowhere, only to find out that she was working for a production that was happening in New York. And so it was one of those things where it's like, if only I had a couple of more floors to talk to her, that connection may have gone a little bit further. And so, we're talking about elevator pitches. One of my professors from college, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, taught me, you have to be able to say what you need to say in 30 seconds. Be brief, be bold, be gone. So you need to state who you are, what you do, the value that you can add, and most definitely have some way of connecting with them before you exit your elevator, whatever that may be, if it's a bus or a train ride or, an elevator for that matter. Being able to give them that information in a pretty concise time frame, getting them to remember who you are going forward.
That's really very important. So how would you differentiate Arbor from other companies in conveying that value proposition? And this would be a learning moment for many of our students as well, who are trying to convey to others what their value proposition is. And I think what Ms. Ryland said is really very important. Be brief, be what? And be gone?
Be brief, be bold, and be gone. No one wants to talk to you for 5 minutes.
I like that. So, Mr. Ryland, would you add anything else to that?
So I would tell folks, that Arbor Realty Advisors, we are expert commercial real estate advisors. Organizations and individuals like yourself come to us when they have a commercial real estate challenge, opportunity, or need. That's the elevator pitch that I typically will give, and that's less than 20 seconds. And what comes out of that? I want folks to know that we are experts. We're not someone that's just doing this because we, don't have anything else to do. We put in the time to be recognized as expert. We're expert commercial real estate advisors, and people like yourself come to us. They trust us, so they come to us when they have a commercial real estate, not residential, but a commercial real estate opportunity, challenge, or need. That's the way that we try to frame that elevator pitch, if you will. So be brief, be bold, and be gone.
I'm going to remember that. I think that's great. And so for our students and viewers who are interested in our real estate programs and others programs as well, as they start looking at entering into the real estate profession, whether it is as an employee or as perhaps an owner of a company, let's say that's a bold step, of course, start off as an owner of a company if you have the money to do that, because you want to learn all of the other skill sets as well. And you made reference to building relationships and communicating often and so forth. So what are the measures that individuals should set to track their success and progressive movement toward wealth?
So I would look at your income that you generate. I would look at the assets that you accumulate, and I will look at your recurring income stream, right? So what kind of income can you generate on an annual basis? What kind of assets can you accumulate? And what type of recurring income streams can you generate out of commercial real estate? So we started off doing just one part of real estate, right? We started off just helping folks buy, sell, and lease. Then we got an opportunity to provide internal moves for real estate on the real estate side. Then we got an opportunity to do consulting work. Then we had an opportunity to do some other things. So I would say you want to look at where are the different streams of incomes that you can create, that you can measure. What type of assets can you accumulate, meaning can you acquire commercial real estate or residential real estate in your portfolio? Those would be some things that I would measure. But also, what type of accounts are you able to attract over the course of a year or course of 5 years? If you're looking to do corporate work, you can measure that. If you're looking to do government work, you can measure that. If you're looking to focus on small to mid-sized businesses, you can measure that as well.
This is very, very helpful. We have less than a minute remaining. And I'd like for you to just give us maybe a 10-second recommendation on something that we may not have discussed.
I would say my 3 pillars of success: staying physically, mentally, and spiritually fit. Those 3 things has weathered the storm for me. Those are the 3 things I tell folks. If you want to know what I've done to be successful, I've done those 3 things consistently: physically fit, mentally, and spiritually fit.
Okay, very good. And Ms. Ryland, about 10 seconds, please.
I would just say be persistent and know that hard work will always pay off. You may not see it today, but if you keep working hard, you will see the benefit in the end.
Excellent. Many thanks to both of you, Mr. Ed Ryland and Ms. Tiffany Ryland, for joining us and for sharing great insights. Best wishes to you for your continued success. We also want to thank our viewers for watching. For more information about real estate programs at HCC, go to HCC.edu website and click on programs to learn more about the vast opportunities. And so as we close, thank you again for watching. And I would like to remind you to get Mr. Ryland's book. Yes, it's excellent. And always remember to Credential Up Houston. We'll see you again next time.